All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today, we are cracking open the DAX Toolbox. Now, if you use Power BI, you know DAX is one of its most powerful features. But let's be honest, it can also feel a little intimidating. So we're going to demystify it, look at its functions, and show you how to start thinking like a true data pro. You know, when you see a chapter title like this, does your stomach do a little flip? You're definitely not alone. That phrase, programming language, just sounds heavy, complicated. But what if I told you that you probably already have a head start on it and you didn't even realize it? Well, here's the thing. DAX, which stands for Data Analysis Expressions, isn't some crazy alien language. It's actually a supercharged version of the Excel formulas tons of us use every single day. But here's the massive leap. Where an Excel formula works on one cell at a time, a DAX formula works on entire columns and tables. This is what unlocks incredible new powers, like time intelligence, and it can even give you a whole new table as a result, not just a single number. So, to get comfortable with DAX, let's do this. We're going to start small. We're going to put one single function under the microscope, and you'll see it's built on a really simple, logical idea. Okay, let's start with a really friendly one, the date function. All it does is create a valid date. Super straightforward. But its structure, that's the golden ticket. Because if you understand how this one is built, you understand how they're all built. Every single DAX function follows this same three-step recipe. First, you've got the function name. That's your command. It's what you want to do. In this case, date. Second, tucked inside the parentheses, you have the arguments. This is the info the function needs to do its job. For a date function, it needs a year, a month, and a day. And finally, you get the result, what the function spits out at the end. Here, a perfectly formatted date. That's it. A name, some ingredients, and a result. And hey, here's a quick bit of lingo for you. Those arguments we just mentioned, you'll often hear them called parameters. It's just the official name for the inputs you feed the function. Some are required, some are optional, but it's all part of that same simple structure. Okay, so we've got the hang of a single tool. Now, let's swing open the doors to the entire toolbox. It might look like there are hundreds of tools in there, but the great news is they're not just dumped in a chaotic pile. They are meticulously organized. So right off the bat, you need to know the DAX library isn't some chaotic junk drawer. It's an organized system with more than 14 distinct categories. And thinking in these categories, not trying to memorize every function, that's the real secret. But we can actually make it even simpler to think about. Let's group all those official categories into 5 big, easy-to-remember themes. Think of them like the main trays in a toolbox. You've got your number crunchers for all the math, your time travelers for analyzing trends, your data sorters and shapers for filtering and organizing, your logic and text functions for making decisions, and then a small tray of specialty tools for everything else. Let's peek inside that first tray. The number crunchers. These are the workhorses, the bread and butter of your analysis. They handle all the fundamental math, from simple stuff like sum and average to more advanced statistical functions that can do things like find the median or standard deviation. Next up, the time travelers. And honestly, this is where DAX really shows off. This is its superpower. We're not just talking about getting today's date. We're talking about incredibly powerful functions that let you easily compare this year's sales to last year's sales, or calculate a year-to-date total with a single line of code. This group is an absolute game changer. And then we have our data sorters and shapers. Think of these guys as the master librarians for your data. They're the tools you use to filter your data with surgical precision, to manage the relationships that connect all your tables, and even to create brand new summary tables from scratch. This is where you really start to craft your data model. All right, enough theory, right? Let's get our hands dirty. Let's pull a couple of these key tools out of the box and see how they solve actual real-world business problems. So here's a classic business scenario. You've got a table with a column for unit price and another for quantity sold. How do you get the total revenue? Now, you can't just add up all the prices and multiply by the sum of all the quantities. The math would be totally wrong. You need to do it row by row by row. And for that exact job, the perfect tool to grab from the toolbox is SumX. And here's a little pro tip for you. See that X at the end of the function? That's your clue. It means it's an iterator, which is just a fancy word for a function that goes through a table, row by row. Here's exactly what SumX is doing under the hood. It's smart. It goes to that first row and it calculates 10 times 5 to get 50. It holds on to that number. Then it moves to the second row and calculates 20 times 2 to get 40. Then, and this is the crucial part, it adds those individual results together, 50 plus 40, to get the correct total of $90. Okay, let's level up. You've got your total sales calculation. That's great. But then your boss walks over and asks, this is good, but what were the sales for just the North region? Or just for one specific product? How do you change the rules of the game? For this, you need what is, without a doubt, the undisputed champion of all DAX functions, calculate. Seriously, if you only have the brain space to master one advanced function, make it this one. It is that essential. So why is it so special? Calculate is the super function of DAX. It does two things beautifully. First, it takes an expression you want to evaluate, like our total sales formula. And then, it lets you add one or more filters that modify the context. It's like telling Power BI, hey, calculate total sales for me, but for just this one calculation, pretend that the only data that exists in the world is from the North region. It's an incredibly powerful way to change the rules on the fly. So as we start to wrap this up, let's zoom back out. We've taken a function apart, we've toured the toolbox, we've put a couple of key tools to work. But the goal here isn't just about memorizing some formulas. It's about shifting your mindset and giving you a new data superpower. Just think about this. The DAX library gives you a toolbox with more than 250 different specialized tools. That is an absolutely immense amount of analytical power just sitting there, waiting for you. And it really boils down to this simple truth. When you learn to use these functions well, your own productivity just skyrockets. It means you can answer more complex questions, you can do it faster, and you can do it with a lot more accuracy. But here it is, the most important takeaway of this entire explainer. No one, and I mean no one, expects you to memorize all 250 plus functions. That is not the goal. The real skill, the real superpower is knowing which tray in the toolbox to look in. It's knowing, I have a problem with dates. I need to look in the time travelers tray. Or, I need to do some row-by-row math. I'll check the number crunchers for an iterator function. So we've handed you a map to the toolbox and the keys to open it. The only real question left is, what are you going to build with it? Thanks for watching.